Hiya, welcome to my Compound Life. Oops. I'm your host, Jonathan. My Compound Life, we build assets, build habits, and build our future. You know, you build wealth, you essentially build for a future that you can retire slightly better. Okay, so I'm Jonathan, your host, so thanks for watching my video. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I think I'm on my 6th subscriber today. I just checked the stat earlier. So it would be really helpful if you can just hit subscribe and hit the like, just that you can be my 7th. Okay, so thank you. Thanks for watching. So I want to start today. It's the 25th of November, morning time, very, very cold in the UK, although it's sunny, magnificent sunny weather this morning. However, just exceptionally cold. But that's fine, you know, it doesn't affect me putting on a video. So let's start. So Bitcoin now, let's check Bitcoin price now. Let me check quickly. Slow internet. Hang on. Oh, extremely slow. But that's fine. Let's not look at Bitcoin price immediately. Currently, the fear and greed index for Bitcoin and crypto is at present extremely fearful, right? Still at the 20. I think yesterday it was actually around 19. But overall for the past 7 days it was 14. So we can definitely see gradual improvement in terms of the fearfulness of investors. But at the same time, we can also definitely see some improvement, I think, due to the weekend pump on Bitcoin. I want to probably say a weekend fake pump on Bitcoin, right? So apart from looking at the fear and greed index, let me just quickly check on the Bitcoin ETF flow for yesterday. I think it is still yesterday, 24th of November. It is a positive inflow, about 9.7 million, right? And in terms of Ethereum, it is also positive inflow, about 3.3 million, right? So very, very tiny buy from the retail investors. And what about Solana? Solana ETF, it's actually still a positive inflow too yesterday, of 57 million, right? So interestingly enough, I think for Solana, because it does seem that the Solana crypto price has been suppressed so much during the recent bull market period for Bitcoin. At current price, it was such an attractive price that retail ETF starts to ramp up the buy, right? Because Solana has been positive inflow for the past almost 2 weeks. So all of them were positive inflow, right? For Bitcoin, you know, yesterday was 9.7 mil. The day before was 238 million. And for the rest, you know, for the past 2 weeks, it was mainly just outflow, right? People were fearful, people were selling, and so forth. So in today's video, what I want to talk a little bit about is it time to buy or sell, right? Is it time to re-enter? because a lot of people were calling me up yesterday, the day before, and over the weekend to ask whether is it time to buy, is it time to re-enter, because obviously Bitcoin is pumping again. Hang on, let me just unplug and then I'll come back to this video. Stop recording. Okay, so coming back to that question, is it time to re-enter the market, or is it time to exit again? Time to take profit because Bitcoin obviously pumped a little bit more. To be honest, I somehow still felt all of this pump kind of like a dead cat bounce in a bear trend, right? So again, Bitcoin 4-year cycle historically already ended, right? The peaks already ended, and it makes absolute sense. Whomever still follows that 4-year cycle, they are on their way out. They are already, many of them already took profits, and very likely many of them, if they haven't fully taken too much of the profit, they are actually on their way taking even more profits right now. So something that I'm doing right now too, I actually still follows the 4 years Bitcoin cycle, and I took profit from September this year, and I'm giving myself approximately 100 days to take profit, and I should rightfully be gotten out of the market by January. But of course, recently I stopped taking profit because the Bitcoin price fell so much, right? And I kind of felt fine, I've taken enough profit during that peak period when Bitcoin was at the high of 110 to 126, and I don't need to take more profit just so that I can keep up with my lifestyle, right? So that's my current situation, and I kind of felt a lot of people still follow the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, right? So to me, despite the fact that there are a lot of bullish news out there that talks about government reopening, liquidity coming back, rate cut coming, rate cut in the horizon, and even a lot of correlation charts that people are putting up that says Bitcoin follows the ISM chart, the correlation. I can't quite remember what this ISM, the proper definition for it, but I'll give it a call out when I get a chance to look at my notes, right? So despite the fact that there are a lot of such positivity catalysts, but a lot of it I would still consider that the fact that many, especially the OGs, the whales, they still follow strictly in terms of the 4 years cycle, right? Once they're out, they're out. They're not gonna come back for minimal kind of Bitcoin price uplift. They're not gonna come in and expecting that Bitcoin will, at most give them a 2x or double their money, right? Then they're not gonna come back for this, right? They're not gonna even risk for this. They might come back with some of their their cash, but they're not going to come back all in, right? So personally, I don't expect Bitcoin to immediately go back to the previous all-time high of 126,000. right? There will definitely be some sort of relief rally or dead cat bounce that we can look forward to. So that would be the time when I would start, take profits again, right? So coming back to the earlier questions about, is it time to re-enter? If you're happy with taking 30% or 20% profit, or 50%, if we do go up higher, right? Then by all means, I think, Bitcoin may still give you that profit, but just be mindful that, we are in the process of going into a bear market now. And throughout the bear market, believe me, I've been through it, there will be some hint of hopium every now and then, right? The rate cut, the Trump stimulus check, and for these are just small catalysts that will essentially, get people to buy in more, and then Bitcoin will no doubt have some bounces, but I just felt it wouldn't go and exceed the recent all-time high of 126,000 USD, right? So bear that in mind before you enter. I simply felt a lot of the smart money, the bigger OG whales, Bitcoin investors that probably won't enter again. Even if they do, they'll probably just enter with a smaller, a lot smaller position, right? I just want to guide you guys so that we don't chase for every pump in Bitcoin or crypto. That's because there'll always be someone in social media that are always bullish. I'm not an influencer yet. I hope one day I might be one. I'm just a small content creator. If you like my content, please hit the like, hit subscribe, right? But I just want to give you guys a more realistic view of what's going on, because having been through multiple Bitcoin cycles, I've been through multiple bear market, I've been through bullishness, getting into bearish situation. It was tough, right? So this is my third cycle. The fact that I haven't left Bitcoin, it's essentially an asset, a very hard asset that I know will continuously work, right? But certainly the return that I'm seeing for the past two cycle has definitely dropped tremendously, right? Well, I can't say dropped tremendously that it's not worth the while to invest in Bitcoin anymore, right? But of course, any asset from inception and over a period of time, there would definitely be diminishing of return. But having said that, such diminishing of return would still outperform any of the other asset class that are available, right, out there to buy. Okay, so do some research on that and stick with Bitcoin. Yes, be cautious. Don't be overly bullish with all of the excitement that people are telling you right now, because I felt yes, there are some excitement, but this excitement will not be as exciting as the next halving event, right? So it would be nice if we can get another all-time high, but always be prepared, right? I always say, take profit, protect your capital, because if we do get into a bearish situation, you know, we go through Bitcoin crypto winter, I just want to make sure that, you know, for your swing back, you know, many of you guys would already be out of Bitcoin already, be in cash, so that you can, you know, enjoy the profits that you made and get ready for the next reaccumulation, right? And that's more important, right? Because ultimately I want to make sure that you guys are able to reaccumulate at the low-ish of Bitcoin. That's where life-changing wealth can be made, right? Imagine if you you know, like last time, the last cycle, the peak was at around 69,000, right? And then Bitcoin gradually drops. In the bearish case, you know, after the all-time high, it gradually gets to the crypto winter, Bitcoin winter, right? And it gotten to as low as 16,000, right? So if I ask you to buy a lot, like lump sum in, buy right now, that would be the most, you know, bad advice anyone can give, right? Essentially, I don't want you to be buying Bitcoin at 50,000 or 40,000, right? I want to make sure that, you know, you're able to get in at a better pricing for Bitcoin. And if that was like the last cycle, you know, I want to make sure that you get in at 20,000, 15,000, or even 30,000, right? So imagine if you're on 30,000 average for Bitcoin, and then you cash out at around 120. That is 4x, right? 4x of your investment, right? So don't be too overly bullish, okay? Especially, I think there's a lot of hopium that, you know, Bitcoin price goes up a little bit, everyone starts being ultra bullish and want to get back in. You know, that's what I want to say, right? Oh, okay, so coming back to ISM, exactly what the hell that is. ISM, it's a manufacturing PMI, is a monthly US report that shows if factories are growing. So the indicator is above 50 or shrinking below 50. So in the past, Bitcoin always hit its big price peak when this number was very high at between 58 and 62, and starting to fall because that meant the economy was too hot and the Fed would soon tighten money, right? So look at ISM, if it gets too high and then Fed would step in, US Fed would step in, and then they would start to apply quantitative tightening, right? So right now in late 2025, the ISM is still very weak, around 48 to 49. So the old top signal isn't flashing yet, right? That is if we truly believe that Bitcoin goes with ISM, right? In simple terms, Bitcoin may keep rising longer this time and could peak in 2026 instead of 2025, right? So Bitcoin might still do its 4-year cycle, right? And it might continue to peak with the ISM. Whether would we get a banana zone or a parabolic move, right? I do question that, right? Unless the ISM suddenly jumps way up, then the party probably ends fast. Okay, so bear that in mind. There could still be a ISM peak, but just be cautious about this, right? If you have a lot of cash, what you might want to do is to just pound cost average or dollar cost average, right? And don't go all lump sum in, right? And thinking that that will be a parabolic move for Bitcoin, right? And then having to hodl again Bitcoin, like without taking profit and to hodl that for another 4 years. I don't want that to happen to anyone of you or someone like myself, right? So I've taken profit, and currently at present I'm not accumulating any more Bitcoin, because for me I kind of follow the 4-year cycle. It's a profit taking time period for myself. I'm not re-entering anytime soon until the next cycle, which will hopefully, the next best entry would probably be in November next year, okay, for Bitcoin. And that's it for now. Let me just quick check on Bitcoin price. Too slow of internet. Anyway, 87,400. Okay, so I think yesterday we gone to a peak of near 89,300, and then now we drop back to 87. Until we get back to 50 days moving average around 100,000, I wouldn't be bullish at all for Bitcoin, right? So that's my take on the whole situation. I hope you like my content. Please drop a like, please subscribe, be my seventh subscriber, okay? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Stop recording.